Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out on this rainy day for our featured wonderful Emilie Kosoff. My name is Pamela Johnson, and Carrie Dyken is, we are co-presidents of Parents at Lawrenceville. I want to welcome everybody. Hope you're having a great beginning of the school year. This is a highlight for us. We've moved into Saturdays from weekdays, and we are videotaping it for those who can't make it today. But this is an opportunity to get all your questions answered today. So just want to not delay any further and introduce Emilie Kosoff, who is our Assistant Dean of Students. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm repping my latest Lawrenceville wear. This was a gift from the class of 1988, so my connections with Lawrenceville run deep. I'm married to a Laurentian. Our daughter is a senior this year, and my husband has had many relatives who've gone through Lawrenceville as well. I've been at Lawrenceville for over 20 years. I started way back in the early 1990s, so I'm going to date myself a little bit. And I'm happy to be here this morning to speak with you about Lawrenceville in general, but mostly to answer any questions that you may have. And I know we have a lot of experienced parents in the room who I will turn over some of these questions because I think that they, I'm a parent as well, but they have a wealth of understanding and information about how to navigate through Lawrenceville as a parent, and also things that have helped their kids as they move through Lawrenceville. So last spring, I may have seen some of you. How many of you were new to our community? Great. So last spring, I may have seen some of you at the revisit days and kind of given you a taste of what a day looks like, what this experience or journey at Lawrenceville looks like. For those of you who are returning, I haven't met all of you, but we had a session like this last year that said transition to the circle and crescent, and it was pretty formal. We had some slides. We had a kind of presentation that I did with Dave Laws, who's our Dean of Academics. This, I think, is more informal. We sat in a circle last year. I think we have too many people to be in a circle this year. But really, I'm not going to spend a great deal of time giving you a formal speech about Lawrenceville. I really want to use this time together to help answer any questions that you may have as we now enter into our second full week of the school year. I'll say this. I work with Blake Eldridge in the Dean of Students office. So under us are all the housemasters, assistant housemasters, advisors. And they are going to be your primary point people for all things Lawrenceville. And I hope that you had an opportunity to meet both the housemaster and your child's advisor when school started. If you have questions, always you can reach out to us in the Dean of Students office, but talk to the advisor, talk to the housemaster. There is no dumb question. We tell that to our kids in class. I guess to say there's no stupid questions. You're only stupid if you don't ask the question. So ask the questions, seek the help when you need it. It's a message that we give to the kids as well. So I think that is what they're hearing, and that's also what we want you to hear today. Trevor White, did you all get an email from me this week that outlines some of the things from the fall? So our student council is comprised of 9 fifth formers, seniors. Trevor White from New York was a new third former and is our school president. And over the course of the summer, they decided that the motto for the school year was going to be incredible. And at the opening second form meeting, I expressed our first formal meeting of student council where someone on the council said, I don't really get what that means. Incredible? That's just, what is that? True, I think, to what Laurentians do. We spent 20 minutes cycling through, I think this is what it means, and they challenged each other, and essentially what it boils down to is kids make the experience incredible. Incredible just doesn't happen. So the message for your kids is make things happen in their lives, make things happen in their class, make things happen on their teams, in their clubs, by their own actions. And if they need a little gentle push, we'll give them that push. Support them in their expanding curiosity. Support them in their work to make it really an incredible experience. So, I'd like to talk about academics, kind of social life, and maybe club life, if we want to do that as an ordered question. In class, I always have a plan. It always goes awry. So, of course, we'll probably deviate from that. So let's start with academics. Maybe class changes, schedule. Second and third formers take 6 classes, although second formers will not start their 6th class until the winter. Second formers, if you were a second form parent, you also received a note from Blake Eldridge about starting PDS, Personal Development Seminars, next week. And those are our little kind of life skills courses that we do at Lawrenceville. We do that for 45 minutes once a week for the remainder of this term. And third formers will do that as well. So second and third formers take 6 classes, fourth and fifth formers take 5 classes. Questions in the academic realm?
On the PDS, who are they teamed with? Is it a small group? Is it?
It's a small group. It's usually between 12 and 14 people, led by a number of different faculty members, including Blake. I'll join the third form in the winter with the PDS. And we go through a week-by-week curriculum that is looking at study skills, nutrition, sleep, how we engage in the community with each other, how we reconcile differences. Those are all things that we'll cover.
And it's more discussion than
it's meant to be, no homework. It's meant to be an opportunity to have kind of low stakes engagement with each other.
I have the same question that I'll follow the thread through the whole 3 categories. Is used to being a very hands-on mom, and my son has always required a lot of me intervening or prompting or poking. And then once I do it, he's good. But so now that I'm not here physically, I'm an hour. I'm lucky if I get a text back at the end of the night. He's having a great time. But how do I know that people are staying on him and that he's not just like not being poked and prodded?
I have a son as well. I experience that all the time with him. Not as much with my daughter, but here's what I would say at Lawrenceville. I would definitely have a conversation with his advisor to start. And what we try to do with kids, and returning parents, please chime in on this, but what we try to help them develop is their capacity to reach out when they need help. And he's coming in and knowing that he has a few problems packing his backpack with him, or making sure we have like a little bench, not bench, but the windows now. But if he needs that, it can start with his advisor. Here's what I would do if you came to me. I would send a note out to his teachers and I would say, hey, I was just talking to so-and-so's mom. Please, can you just be aware in the classroom if he's not coming with his homework completed, or if his notebook looks awry, or if he's tired in class. And we have what's called a memo system at Lawrenceville. So you may receive something through, parents, is it a Veracross notification? So it's a Veracross notification where I as a teacher, and I teach second formers, I as a teacher can say, hey, great job in class today. Or I'm really concerned that this week you haven't been on your game and that you seem to be a little out of focus in class. It's really just a way to send out information to all the adults who are involved in your son's life at Lawrenceville. I would caution against picking up and calling the teacher directly. Having a child at a boarding school is really watching them become more and more independent. And that's what we want to have them do. And we are designed from 2nd to 5th form to do kind of graduated steps towards what we can say is a pretty independent, self-driven kid when they graduate Lawrenceville. But by all means, reach out to the advisor, talk to them, maybe follow up when you hear from at the interim, which will be in 4 weeks or so. You'll get notes from all of his teachers, and you can follow up on some specific things the parents will get. Memos, by the way, there are 2 designations that we have as teachers. It's an internal memo and an external memo. They are memos that say information, commendation, concern. And we can give that category. So you may not always receive a memo, but an external memo goes to parents, an internal memo stays within.
You mentioned Veracross. So,
Yeah.
so I don't know if I'm doing this correctly. I log in through the website, and I don't know that I get notifications. Can you
You'll
explain?
get email notifications. It won't, I think, it comes to your email, not through the Veracross account.
So should I have gotten notifications already?
Not necessarily. Not a memo.
So there isn't an app. Basically, you have to log in through the website.
No, it comes to your email.
Email within Veracross. So you can set it up there.
Doesn't it come straight to your inbox?
All right, well,
I get it in our regular email. We get it in our regular.
That's what I get.
But it also, I believe, maybe in your Veracross.
Yeah, it is in Veracross.
But
You
it
can
comes
see
to
always see the record in Veracross,
Okay.
Yeah,
but it will come to your regular
yeah.
Gmail, whatever account you use, email account.
But what I have noticed is that sometimes you get a memo in your inbox and there's an attachment, and it's in your inbox, but if you go to Veracross, it's not necessarily there. So then you sort of go back into your email and search for that email. Because I noticed that I don't get all the
You should
attachments.
It doesn't record it in
It doesn't, it's
Veracross.
not there, I see like there's attachment.
There haven't been that many communications.
No, there haven't been.
There haven't missed much. I
Have there
think.
been any?
I'm talking simply, in this case, these are memos. These would be specifically to your son or daughter.
Okay, fine.
So to your child.
Yeah.
Versus
so
a-
you get like an all school emails that everybody does.
Yeah, that-
And then also, if there is an issue, like everybody should feel comfortable that if there is an issue going really well or poorly with your child, the first time you hear about it will not be in interims. You will get, if a teacher feels like, wow, you did really well in class today, or that report, you really nailed it, or you seemed a little hesitant, maybe come in early next time during consult. They'll get a memo about that, and you as a parent will get it also. You'll receive it in your email. So even if they get like say all of a sudden they get a C on a test, and they seem really, you'll know, the teacher, not necessarily a C, but I'm just giving you an example. If it's all of a sudden out of sorts, or they seem tired, or even if they seem, hey, I noticed you were having a hard time getting to soccer on time. Reach out to, so like there is communication that goes on between either your housemaster, your teachers, or whoever with your child, and you're aware of it. So there are tabs always. It won't be surprises at interim all of a sudden that.
So it should come in through the email though?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And the email will have you log in kind of to Veracross too. So there's.
So I'll look at the next like couple.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I don't get anything.
And I think the good
And
thing.
don't be surprised if you're not getting it.
Okay, fine.
This means things are going well.
No, you just mentioned it, and I said I didn't think I had gotten anything, so I just wanted to make sure.
I know my experience is along the lines of I get it a day or a week or so after my son has gotten it. So this goes back to the child being responsible.
Yeah.
And I would say, hey, I got a note, et cetera, whatever it was. And he would say, oh, yes, that was last week, Mom. And I've already talked to the teacher about that, or we already, thank you for the comment to the teacher, things like that.
I would say let the process play out and trust the process. And that's a big thing towards that idea of independence for your kids. But always, if you have a concern, please reach out to us and let us know what's going on. We put lots of pieces of a puzzle together over the course of a kid's time at Lawrenceville, and you're an important part of that conversation and understanding everyone who is in our community.
I was just going to point out too, the second farmer, Lawrenceville does this pass-fail thing the first semester.
Do you want me to speak
So I think teachers probably are working on that. It's not going to necessarily, like, they have a little bit of time to get up to speed.
So second formers freshmen take 3 of their classes pass-fail. Their English class, their cultural studies class, and their science class. Coming to school is really a hard adjustment. Living on your own is a hard adjustment. We want to take away some of that pressure to have them be able to adjust socially, have them be able to get up in the morning, do their homework at night, and really concentrate on the things that are going to help them as a student as they move through Lawrenceville. So, I teach cultural study. That's kind of like our history class. What I want is not for a kid to say, oh, it's pass-fail, I don't really have to concentrate on this. We will be engaged in a constant dialogue of feedback on their papers, on their Harkness work, on the way they read their work. As teachers, that's what we're keeping our eye on, so that by the time winter comes and they are then receiving grades for the first time, they, I hope, have begun to develop the skills that are going to help them be the best student that they can be. But I think with the pass-fail system, it really does allow for, I would say, a long runway, a long takeoff that is not always full of stressors with grades and things like that. Anything else on the academic side? Or returning parents, something that you wish you had known a year earlier?
Sorry, I don't want to hog the floor. But those seminars that you were touching on that they're going to do, one of the components of that you said was study skills.
Yes.
Does it wait until they're in the 3rd semester and they take that before they learn those? I mean,
no, they're going to do that this fall.
Oh, that's this fall, sorry.
That's this fall. And we have also an educational support department. And so if I, as a teacher, am seeing some things where I would say, oh, this person would really do well with a little bit more help with organization, for instance. The advisor, I might contact the advisor. The advisor has a conversation. That conversation may include you as well. And we might say, once a week, let's go put them with educational support. Let's work on how to organize your notebook, how to do some reading things. So we have classroom support, and then we have a little additional support through our educational support. We have consultation every day too, and that's a 40-minute period every day where your kids can go in and see their teachers. Teachers are in their classrooms. You can go over a test, you can go over a reading. You can make a Monday, I'm always going to go see my math teacher. So consultation is a great opportunity to just get a little bit more before or after the class. Yeah.
This educational support system, is this new this year or was it also there last year?
No, we always had it.
I wasn't aware of it as when my daughter was in second.
Something new.
Just a clarifying question on the consultation. Do they
Sure.
make an appointment, or they just show up and the teacher?
No, they show up.
They just show up.
If there's a moment where they need a little bit extra, so say they really need to go over French verbs or something like that, and consultation really isn't enough, usually a teacher and a student will try and find some common free time, after school, a free period, maybe right after lunch, to be able to just have a little bit more time one-on-one.
It's probably safe to say and make sure everybody knows that consult is not optional. So we have to support our kids in making sure they actually show up. And
Right.
it's not just necessarily things aren't going well. So you may want to check it and inquire.
My daughter said the other day, she said, I've never missed a consultation. Never missed a consultation. So she goes every week and she just says, I'm gonna go see my math teacher today, I'm gonna go see my Spanish teacher today. And it is, for kids, and I would say I think this is true too, there is no shame in reaching out for help. It's a really difficult act to reach out and say, I'm having trouble, but there's no shame for your kid. That is part of the culture, the fabric of this place, is make use of these things that are available.
And even if things are going well, sometimes there's extra things that can be given.
Sure.
So definitely raising your hand, but also.
I was just going to say, again, as a big former parent, that over the years, I think, go to consultation has been the thing I've said most to my daughter, because again, feeling like you're not there to help them, that's one of the best things you can do, is to say, go to your teacher, go to consultation. So 4 years of go to consultation.
It's the first question that I ask. If my daughter comes home and says, I'm really confused, it's like, have you actually spoken with your teacher about this? You know, that is, I meet that, not complaint, I meet that concern with a question. And go and push.
My kids loved consultation. In fact, that was their most favorite thing last year about this.
Sometimes kids just go to hang out and play with their friends and just chat. That's fine too. We don't have to always be on that.
So do they have to spend the whole consultation time?
No.
And what do they do if you feel like they are doing okay? So what do they do during consultation?
They may use they may go to back house. They may go and get a snack. They may go to the jigger and get a snack. They may hang out with friends. They may use that 40 minutes and 20 minutes of it is with the Spanish teacher and 20 minutes is with the science teacher. So you don't have to stay the whole time. It may be a drop-in for math and I had this problem. Go in, you get your question answered. It could be as simple and as efficient as that. Or it could be a lengthier review of a paper, that type of thing.
So, just as a parent, being in a consult, how are they backed up? Are the kids waiting in line? Or how does it flow?
It depends. I think math consults, language consults are some of our most used consultation periods, and I think sometimes kids, and it goes back to the idea of making extra time. If there are 10 kids trying to see a teacher, that may necessitate going and setting another time to meet. Also, what kids will do is a teacher may say, hey, help this kid. You just went over that last year. I know you can do this. So there's a lot of, not every consultation looks the same. And so you'll see kids helping kids, teachers helping kids, and that type of thing.
I have a boy and I actually just asked him what his consult like last week and he's like, oh, I don't need that. So, I mean, if I tell him, I just don't know how much he will listen. I mean, will the advisor, the teacher kind of encourage them to?
You never know that you may get the kind of talk to the hand mom response, but that he's actually going. You know, I don't need that, but his actions may be different. First week of school, they may not think that they have to do that. We're now in the cycle, so this is entering into the second week, that they will be having some of their first quizzes, their first tests, maybe a reading check, you know, the way they're reading. So I would say kind of starting now, push them in, go see your science teacher. Are you sure you know these concepts? Is there anything that you are feeling a bit unsure about? Those are the types of things then to go see your teacher about.
And the fact that you keep, some of them keep records, they know if your son has come.
Yes.
So there's that.
Hey Emily, just say, I'm not just a videographer, I'm also a teacher and a parent, and I have advisees. I think consult says another really important message that you haven't covered yet, which is that it alerts the teacher, tells the teacher that that kid wants help and is seeking help. And sometimes kids, they imagine a teacher knows a lot more than they do. So it's a really important message for a kid to send, and that way a teacher knows when you know, the intervention is needed. Yep. So it's a very helpful thing to do in that regard as well.
Should we?
So for everybody who's new, like second formers, I would say I wish I had 3 kids go through here. I wish I had known their first year, tell them that everybody's kind of adjusting and struggling a a bit, they'll call you and say, I've got so much work, or I can't balance this, or I'm not getting enough sleep, and they think everybody else is cruising through and having an easy time, when in fact, just some kids make it look easier. So I would just share that with your kids that everybody's adjusting, and advocate for yourself. Go talk to your teachers, talk to your housemaster. So much of high school is preparing yourself to be independent and learning to advocate for yourself. And like Emilie said, I think it's a strength to know your weaknesses, and when you know how to ask for help, that's huge. And also when you know to help other kids. And you'll see in the community here that kids will help other kids if they see they're struggling in certain subjects. We have children or students here whose first language is Chinese, and if somebody's taking Chinese and having a hard time, the next door kid will say, hey, do you want me to help you with your Chinese? Yeah. So, but kids do struggle a lot, and it's just figuring it out, and as soon as you think they got it, my daughter's a junior this year, and she's coming back and was sailing at the end of last year, and now all of a sudden it's a readjustment. But that's very normal, so don't think there's kids that are blowing through here with ease.
One quick question about summer reading.
Sure.
The required school summer reading. My daughter's a little bit like on edge, wondering when and how that gets.
We're going to do the summer reading at the end of October, and we're going to do that in advising groups. And we have a kind of extended lunch period on Monday. So advising groups by that point will know each other a little bit more, and we will be engaged in conversation, a structured conversation with the advisors and their advisees, with a framework that's been put together by 2 of our English teachers.
Is that for all the grades?
That will be for all the grades. So whole school, I think our date is October 22nd for that discussion. Social activities, or just general questions? Why don't I give some context? So context is this. Kids at Lawrenceville are asked to do a number of different things. We believe that it's kind of the mind-body spirit idea, and that their minds will be exercised during the school day. If they, in the afternoon, they are participating in some sort of activity. That can range from farming, outdoor programs, interscholastic sports. If they are at the circle and crescent level, that would be house sports. If they are in 5th form, those are interscholastic sports, dance. They can do dance in the crescent and circle as well. Spinning, any number of activities that will take them through the afternoon and get them physically kind of exercised, and I think it's important to have a stress reliever during the day. And then kind of the spirit idea is we have a program that's called Explorations. Boarders and day students are each term required to attend 2 explorations. And an exploration can be the spiritual in the traditional religious sense. We have Buddhist meditation, we have Muslim prayers, we have Shabbat services on Friday night, we have Episcopal communion, Catholic Mass, we have a Hallelujah service. So those would be our traditional, kind of what we would say would be religious traditions. We are expanding what we think is a really important component of mindfulness. So some yoga practicing. They can do drop-ins, or they can do an extended period of like 8 weeks of yoga. That will be offered twice a week. And I think that was something that we started last winter and continued through the spring, and is a nice addition to that. We've done things for explorations, nature walks, guided nature walks. Student council is working on getting some of the midday music, which are featured voices and featured instrumentalists, and having a component that would allow for a little bit more contemplation. So an introduction of why they are playing these particular pieces, and that may serve as a way to fulfill your exploration. Kids will be asked this fall to do one exploration by October 21st, I think is the date, and then another by the end of the term. And these are great things. Sometimes advising groups go together. Sometimes kids just go on their own. But they're offered at all times of the day, throughout the week, so that there's opportunity in their busy schedules to just drop in and just take a little break. And that has been student-centered along with faculty input for the explorations. So we have athletics, we have kind of the spiritual component. Kids will be introduced I think next week, next Friday night is club night, to the variety of clubs that we have at Lawrenceville. And encourage your children to go attend club night. They may sign up for 15 clubs. I would say narrow down your interests, or sign up for 15 and decide from there what you want to participate in. So start big, begin to narrow down over time, depending on what your interests are. And I would say one more thing about this. I love it when I hear kids, as I did 2 years ago at an admissions reception. One of our kids who was a prefect, a great athlete, good student, come and tell parents saying, I came to Lawrenceville thinking of myself as a field hockey player, as an athlete. And I was here at Lawrenceville because I was an athlete. But in third form, I tried Winterfest. And Winterfest are plays that are student-directed that take place in January and February. And you know what? She said me going out on a limb and signing up for something that I've never done, I never see myself as an actor, was the thing that took her through her next 3 years. So your kids right now may say, I'm this. Just keep pushing them to push their boundaries and to pursue interests, because we have an incredible opportunity. They have incredible opportunities here at Lawrenceville to try out new things that they would never think they would have an interest in. So push them out into these activities as well. Take a risk. So questions?
How many activities can they realistically take on in a term?
Parents?
Every child is different. I mean, there's some kids that'll choose to do ropes course and do Winterfest and do a varsity sport and then do spring dance concert in the spring. But it's just...
I would say club-wise, maybe involvement in 3 clubs, depending on how often it meets and what the club requirements are. So for instance, your child's interested in speech and debate. Speech and debate meets every Friday night, like at 6:30 or something. But maybe we have a meat lovers club. So maybe the meat lovers club meets once a term. So I think it really depends on how often the students meet, how often the clubs meet, to see what they can be involved with. We have some really random clubs.
Yes. Any of these clubs run by faculty or guided by faculty?
Each club has a faculty advisor, but we push for students to do the organizing and running of the clubs.
Because my kids signed up for, like you said, 15, 20 clubs, and they said that, oh, they didn't meet often enough, or so I was just wondering if the clubs have any specific guidelines that they have to meet every week or...
No, they do not.
Are parents welcome to come to club night, or is it specifically for...
Specifically for kids, students. And it's in the field house, they set up, you can come look over the balcony. And then if the child sees you, they're like... Other questions?
My daughter is a day student, and then when she needed an emergency doctor's appointment, she said, oh, she cannot miss class, or she doesn't want to go ask the house, coach about missing this, practice. How do, does she need to do it, or do I have to?
So let's talk, that's great, thank you for bringing this up. Permissions. If you have a doctor's appointment, day students, send a note to the advisor. If it's just, they're gonna miss the last 2 periods of the day. If you send a note, what form are they? Send a note to me. And we will push that out through Mindy Urcaboni, who was introduced. Do you know Mindy Urcaboni? Yeah. She works in the Office of Student Services. She is the one who kind of tracks all the leads and puts them into our system to say not expected medical appointment. If it's an emergency, use the infirmary first and have your child go to the infirmary. If they get sick during the school day, definitely go to the infirmary and you can pick them up from the infirmary. We don't want kids to be just picked up if they're feeling sick. We want to make sure that we know they are attended to and then are safely back in their hands. If kids really do not want to miss class, it's difficult to miss class at Lawrenceville. There's a lot of work that needs to be made up if you do miss a class. But those are times at which we would ask that advisors step in and say, let's talk about a plan. You're going to be missing a day because of a family event or perhaps an athletic something. And you'll work to make up the class. If it is a day, that email request goes out to the level director. So for second form, that's Devondra McMillan. For Present, that's myself. For Circle, that's Etienne Bilodeau. And for fifth form, it's Jason Larson. And that's listed in our handbook. And if you put it in 2 weeks ahead of time, and copy Mindy Urcaboni on that, and then we get the process in order.
For example, she has a tooth that's sorting, where if I call the doctor, I should get an appointment sometime, anytime tomorrow.
Yep.
But she doesn't, she says, I don't know how to, take time off, or she doesn't want to take time off from practice, so.
I would say it's easier probably to take time off from practice than it is the class day. So anything that's post 3 o'clock is better, but if her tooth hurts, she's got to attend to her tooth.
So for practice, if she needs to take time off, who do I email?
Mindy Urcaboni, her coach, and usually she can just speak with her coach directly as well, but just follow up with the coach and maybe the housemaster. Other questions? Yeah.
So this is sort of along the same lines. I know that, I guess for day students, their first, check-in is their first class or what have you, like when they're here. I've done the same thing. I tried to make, my son had some necessary appointments, and I tried to make them during his free period. Yeah. But obviously it could run late. So do I just let Mindy know ahead of time, we're at the doctor and we'll come as soon as we can?
Yeah. Okay. And I always say to students also give a heads up to your teacher.
Okay.
They can send them a little email the night before in the morning just to say I might be a little bit late to class coming back from my appointment.
Okay.
And if they're driving themselves to their doctor's appointment, they have to sort of check in before and after.
If they're driving themselves out, we have an app. Every student is linked into what we call our Sentinel system. That is our sign out, sign in app and they would sign out so we would know where they would be.
They have to get
They would sign out, they have to get permission.
They do, but I know there's an app.
There's an app that they use.
For day students as well.
Day students is right.
Is it just a fifth format? Or is it for...
No, all school.
Thank you.
We were new this year and having to border, but we live fairly close, like with the driving distance. So is there sort of a guideline of how often to move home or for us to make a visit? What's a nice balance of being here but still touching base with family and siblings?
I'll ask parents to chime in on this. My suggestion would be at the beginning of the year, stay here. Get used to the routine. get used to the house, meet the people who are in the house, go through the normal weekend activities and the like. But if you want to come down for a dinner, see a game, and go out for dinner afterwards, do that. You know, we don't, family connections, that's primary. But I think, at least in the beginning of the school year, as they're adjusting to this totally new environment, keep them here, first couple weeks. Would you say, is that?
My son never wanted to miss anything. He never wanted to come back.
Yeah, I was going to say that they, you know, we live close as well, and there's always that opportunity, but, you know, in the beginning, freshman year, maybe he came home more, but they're torn because there's so much going on here. There's got things going on Saturday night if there's, you know, that they don't want to miss, or they want to sleep in on Sunday. So, you know, their life here is quite vibrant.
Their acronym is FOMO, fear of missing out. And they really do. They get to like, you know, I don't want to leave because what if this happens and I'm off
Also,
campus?
you will find there are certain weekends when a lot of kids do leave. Like that's when my daughter would call me up and say she wanted to go home, like Mother's Day maybe. There's just, can't tell you what, but there's certain weekends where there just seems to be nothing going on in a lot of kids.
A non-Saturday class day, for instance. So we have those throughout the year, both as breathers, but also they may be an SAT day or an ACT day. And a Saturday, sometimes kids want to come home, leave on Friday, and really get a weekend away. They may not leave, though, until their last obligation is completed. So if it is a non-Saturday class day, they may have a game on Saturday and could leave after that game.
You should also mention that you need to email the housemaster by Thursday if they're going to be home for the weekend. I think that's across all the houses that they need to have an email. You can't just decide on Saturday, oh, I'm going to bring my child home, or, you know, it's got to be by Thursday.
We want kids to try and plan ahead, classes and departures from campus as well.
I'd like to add to that. I was in the same boat. And the first 1 month or so, we didn't take a child back because it was very helpful for him to adjust to the boarding school, get to know his friends and so on. And plus they have every weekend, at least for the first few weeks, you have a lot of activities going on. You don't want to miss that. After a month out, he wanted to come meet me, so it felt great. The other thing is he did have an instrument teacher who he loved, and he didn't want to miss out on that. So we took permission from the housemaster, and he has a 1 hour lesson for which I come over on Sundays, drive him over, so we get a little bit of, you know, even if it's just in the car, we get some time to catch up with him. Drop him back most days. Some days we go out for lunch, depending on what time the classes are, what commitments he has over here. Then you will figure out, as you stay close by, is that there will be days when he wants you to do your laundry. So he would love to come back home because he can bring a basket with him. So I think they just settled down to a routine of their own. We saw our son frequently enough, but it was not every weekend. Like you live very close by to 25 minutes.
Laundry.
But it's you that wants to see them. My two things are Sunday breakfast. Take them out to Sunday breakfast. You know, a good breakfast out. That was what I could convince her to do with me.
And there is no breakfast on Sundays.
There's brunch.
Yeah, it opens at 10:30, so if your child wakes up early, he has to find something. So yes, that works great too.
And then I would encourage parents for day students to let them stay for the evening, let them stay for the feeding. As hard as it is to stay awake until 11:30 sometimes.
And feeds are Saturday nights. Each house across levels gathers, so check-in for 2nd through 4th form is at 11 o'clock. They come back, they check in with whoever is on duty that evening, and then there's some sort of food. And there's a variety of offerings. I overheard some 2nd formers, I think it was the Sunday after the first feed on Saturday night, oh my God, we had 20 pizzas. pizzas on Saturday night. Best thing ever. And for fifth formers, check-in is at midnight. And by that time, I would hope for day student parents, your children might drive and they could drive themselves home after the feed at midnight. But I agree with you, that's a great time where the house is in the common room together, sharing some food, catching up on what happened that night, and then 11:30 is usually a decent time to go home. It's a good time to catch up, that drive home on a Saturday night.
Parents' weekend, after you're done with the teachers' conferences and whatever events there are, do most people take the kids home and then bring them back on Monday, or?
Most do get off campus we're back Monday night. So yes, after your last obligation, whether that's Friday or Saturday, many students choose to take off a little bit.
And sign-ups for the feeds are at your child's house. So if you want to sign up and volunteer, usually the parents do that, and they'll take like one weekend and bring the meal in.
And you were not obligated to sign up for feeds, but I think lots of your kids will come home and be like, can you take this feed and can we do this? And if you live a far distance, oftentimes you can contact the house parents, or you can contact the housemaster and say, we'd like to get a cake, or we'd like to do this for those nights, and they'll take care of that for you.
I have a question about sporting events. If you're fairly local and you want to come and watch your daughter or son play, obviously, like, is it kind of, I was going to say, is it kind of like come and watch me play and then leave, or is it you can take them out to dinner after?
Oh, you can go out to dinner by all means, and you can take 5 of their friends out to dinner. But I think every family is different, and if you want to have a little time just to have one-on-one time, take that time. That's a great leave from the game. Just tell the coach and they'll sign out on their little app and probably text their housemaster. But those are great things.
Do you have to schedule that with the coach or with the housemaster days in advance? Like she was saying something about Thursday for Saturday, or
something like this where they're coming out.
Drop in, or
the student needs to, if you're at the game, talk to the coach and say, I'm taking my son, daughter out, and I'm driving home.
Okay.
And what we would also have them do is text the housemaster. And if you're going directly out to dinner, then in the little app it will say out to dinner with mom.
Okay.
There's a check-in, so they haven't checked out yet.
They do, but so check-in on weeknights is 8 o'clock, and people are, having a good dinner, and you can get back a little bit late. Just the housemaster will need to know.
Okay. And then what about cancellations for sporting events? Like, I know there were supposed to be things on Tuesday this week, and then they were canceled because of the heat. Yeah, I was already here, and then it was canceled. So how do we find out about things like that?
An update should come out from the athletic department, and you can call the athletic department's line, and there's I don't know off the top of my head which button to push that would give an update on the game.
So always call and check before you come, obviously.
Yep.
I didn't do that.
Unusual this week.
Your kid will know too. They can forward you a thing saying, hey,
whether or not that translates into, I should tell my mom.
No, the team actually reported for what they thought was happening, and then they were sent back. So yeah, it was kind of a big surprise.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to know because on the Veracross portal you can see their calendar for the day.
Right.
And it still had it, even after it was canceled.
I would go
listed.
to the school's website and the athletic page of that team, or call them.
Is that the first place that it would get put?
I think it gets put there before it gets put on Veracross.
Okay.
But I know sometimes if there were time changes, it would be on there. Your child just has to
Just confirm. I would say text confirmation with your child too. What other questions or items that I have not covered?
Well, I was actually listening to the other end of school on Saturday night. You can also request as a day parent to have your child sleep over occasionally, which is a really nice option when, let's say, you have an event and you can't come, or there might be a real big bonding event. That's usually what happens. There's a big bonding event at the house and they don't want to leave. They can spend the night. They just have to get permission from the housemasters. So you just send an email to the housemasters and you send them with a sleeping bag and a pillow.
And they'll stay in a friend's room, so the houses have beds and day rooms as well. Then the sheets get washed.
I just wanted to ask that point, the reverse is true as well, that a day parent or student can invite boarders over for that as well. So they can have their own like door.
And that would just go through the housemaster, and then we ask that any boarder who's going to a day student's house, their parents have to call the housemaster to check, and we also encourage the parents to check in with whoever's house they're being invited to, just to say, yep, and when we ask parents, are you going to be there? They are held to all school rules when they are in your presence as well, and but I think that's a great opportunity.
It's really very special.
Have a little variation in their schedule.
And that's an 8 p.m. return to campus, right?
It's a 7 p.m. return on Sunday night to campus. And if there is again something that is going on, it's a conversation with the housemaster.
In terms of just going back and forth, let's say there's a best girlfriend from home who wants to come visit at school. How does that around?
They would stay in the common room areas of the houses. They may not spend the night.
But they don't need to come with us as parents.
No, right. It should be that the housemaster should know that there's been an invited guest to campus.
I was just thinking maybe you could talk about snow for the day student parents that may need to learn about how snow is dealt with.
Snow, if we get snow this year, we will try to hold classes. And in the past, Dave Laws is a master at coming up with schedules. We will delay. So if we have snow and schools in the area are delayed, we try and do a late start schedule. So usually it's about 10 o'clock that we start our class day, but the same classes would meet on that day. If we are expecting a big snow, day students are allowed to spend the night on campus as well, so that you don't have to drive. If we are expecting a significant amount of snow, like a foot, I would say keep your kids home. That puts a strain on our dining services and our ability to get things done on campus. We'd rather have we take care of all students, but primarily we need to take care of our boarders. They have a little, day students have a little food in the pantry and probably a warm fire. But we will always try to hold school.
I have a question. As a day parent, a lot of times a bunch of kids want to go off campus. And so what is it your responsibility? Because it's not, a lot of times they're from different houses. So I'm always worried, I'm going to be checked out with your house parent or house-masters, but what is my responsibility? Do I have to contact each one of them? I just always trust that they've checked out.
Are they coming to spend the night?
No, like, let's say they want to go off campus after classes, they want to go to the mall, and I'll take 5 girls to the mall and bring them back. So I've always just had them check out with their house-masters and then check back in. But is there anything I should be doing on my end other than reminding them to do that?
Correct. Just remind them. They have to secure that permission and sign out. Returners, anything that I didn't cover?
A little quick question. If say you're taking my kid to the mall, 4 other kids, and he checks out, do I find out that he's going to the mall, or I don't need to know and it's whatever? Okay.
Unless you have rules with your kid.
Exactly. You can set that and say you need to contact me before you would go anywhere with another adult. So that's for you to determine. I'll say one more thing. Oh, yeah.
I think at the beginning of the term, we had some forms where we signed whether we wanted other parents to drive your kid or whether you were individuals to take permission from you before driving your kid. So if you check the right boxes, you will get a call.
Okay.
If not, just go back and change that probably.
And you can confirm that with your house. We do have the snow thing. We do usually have a headmaster's day, and that is the discretion of Steve Murray to take a day off. And it has happened. Kids are very savvy at trying to guess when it happens. So Steve is now on to understanding that the kids now have this kind of window that he thinks he's going to have his headmaster's day. So you'll hear that chatter. I think we're going to have a headmaster's day. I think we're going to have a headmaster's day. For the past 2 years, it's been the Monday after alumni weekend, where at 9:30 at night or 10 o'clock at night, he will send a video out to the school that will announce the Headmaster's Day. And if we are on campus, you hear just this roar coming from the houses. And also this sigh of relief, going, oh, I made the right bet. I'm not doing this all day. So there may be a day in the winter or the spring that we just have a random day off, and usually student council will organize some activities, you know, maybe something in the circle or something in the bowl or the Crescent Green, where kids are invited to play giant Jenga or, you know, other games, listen to some music, have a picnic, that type of thing. It's always a nice day. I think house parents have another meeting that they're moving on to. Thanks for coming out. Please be in touch. If you have any more questions, I'll stick around for a little while right now, but thanks for taking the time to come out this morning. I hope you got to meet a few new faces as well, and we'll try and do this again. We definitely have one on in the spring. 2 things coming up in the fall. We have in the note that I sent, Jane Ferguson, who's a 04 graduate, was one of our Northern Irish scholars, and is a journalist. She is now a special reporter for PBS NewsHour for Africa and the Middle East. Is coming to speak to the kids on September 24th at school meeting. And then we'll have an open lecture to the community, Q&A session at 7 o'clock that evening. So she's coming on September 24th. There's also, parents, the Common Ground lecture. Do we have those? We don't have those. Okay. So look for some information too on the Common Ground lectures. That's schools in the area that invite in speakers. And it rotates through the schools in the area, and all parents are invited to that. I've always found those to be really great evenings and very informative, both lectures and Q&A afterwards.
And I just want to say, on October 27th, there's a night football game, and we just, we're going to have a parent tailgate. So you're all ready to come at 6 o'clock. We have invited faculty and staff, and we'll get an invitation soon. It's a way for you and for us to sort of come as a community and meet our faculty and our staff and other parents. Just so 6 o'clock.
October 27th?
Yeah, October 27th at 6 p.m. Playing Blake. So we'll be getting an invitation out, and you're all welcome to come. Please do.
That's great.
Yeah, we will.
We had our kickoff under the lights game last night with girls varsity soccer and girls varsity field hockey. They rolled over their opponents last night. Food trucks. This is going to be a great night under the lights too. With football, we try to usually have one under the lights game for football, and then a number of under the lights games for our spring teams and our fall teams. All right. Thanks for coming.